All right. Good morning. It is currently Sunday, September 22nd, 2024, approximately 11:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so um I want to kind of continue and dig a little deeper and share additional insight when it comes to this whole volume and liquidity thing. Again, if it wasn't important, if it wasn't um, something that I thought could help to improve our trading, I wouldn't bother with doing the video to discuss. But these things are important enough for me to share with you my insights and what I'm seeing over the weekend. So I tasked myself with over the weekend, doing additional research and whatnot into how all of this kind of works together. Found some interesting things, and hopefully I can illustrate them to you while they're kind of playing out to where it's understandable, comprehensible, and then more importantly, actionable, right? Things that you can look at and possibly implement to help to make your trading better and more precise. So without further ado, let's get into what we came here to do. And that's to understand, some different aspects. So what again, this money flow indicator here is really, really great at uncovering and giving a visual representation of volume liquidity, right? They're the same thing. Volume is liquidity, liquidity is volume. But this indicator, the money flow indicator, is great at exposing where it is, right? So while the indicator is great at showing us where the volume is, right? Buy, sell volume, lots of volume, low volume, right? It's great at showing us and displaying the volume for us, right? It's up to us to be able to interpret that volume, liquidity and everything, and understand the story that it tells that can be beneficial to us in our trading, right? So my goal here is to help to decipher and filter that for you. Um, and the rest you can do on your own. How you use this information is totally going to be up to you if you use this information. Again, I'm just sharing it with you. Um, I'm not saying that this is the GOAT or anything. But again, to me, valuable information. So, all right, here we go. So, one of the things that I've come to start to understand even more about this indicator and about price, right? We all know that liquidity and volume is what basically fuels the market, right? When and where that liquidity happens is very important, and what instrument that you're utilizing it with is important as well. So this is Bitcoin, the 5 minute chart, as you can see. So Bitcoin USD, right? So basically, what we're seeing here, because this is really, really important, and this is why I wanted to do this video to show you. So remember, all right, so on this side, we have volume, just sheer volume, has nothing to do with, well, I guess, buy, sell volume, but it's just about the volume, right? It's telling you how much volume is here. So blue indicates, average volume, yellow indicates high volume, and when it's really, really yellow, the highest volume, right? So purple and or red is low volume. And I'm going to show you the best ways to interpret the amount of volume for your trading success, right? Now, on this side, we know that this is the sentiment. This is basically telling us so we know that this is the volume, right? But this right here tells us, who majority of that volume belongs to. So right here, right, we know we have low volume, a little growing, right? Not necessarily red, but it's not blue either, so it's not average volume. So it's still below average volume, but that volume belongs majority to the buyers right here at this level, which is why price reversed here. And we're going to get into that here in a second, right? because there's some things that we need to understand about how price moves and why it moves for us to get better trading, right? So what happened, and this is the 5 minute chart, price was coming down. It was pushing down with some aggressive sell volume. And then as it got down here, here's a term that you need to understand and see in the market, right? For you to start looking at reversals. This is really, really going to help you when it comes to pinpointing possible reversal points. Low volume, as we've already said before, low volume are going to be the areas where you have the chance for a reversal, right? So let's say price is coming down, it's pushing down, right? It was pushing down with aggressive sell volume, right? And we see it was pretty much average volume. So we had a lot, it went from a lot of volume to average volume to low volume. Now, what happened was the sellers pushed the market all the way down here, right? And then they started exhausting. So when it got right here, the sellers exhausted. That means that there was no more supply left to continue to push the market down. The sellers were no longer interested or had a lack of interest in pushing the market down right here. And so what you saw was you saw the buyers step in on low volume, right, to start to push the market up. Again, I'm going to say that one more time. Something you need to understand. Again, low volume gives us an opportunity for a reversal. So again, what happened? The sellers aggressively pushed this market down. Before this was here, it was sell sentiment, right? But it was again on low volume. So then what happened before this started to reverse, right? You had buyers start to step in on still low volume to start to push this market up, right? And you can see that as we left this point, we got a little bit more aggressive. So we got a little bit more volume in here. Now, the volume belongs to both buyers and sellers. The sentiment is just telling you who's greater. So here, it doesn't mean you don't have sellers here because remember, in order to have a transaction to happen, you have to have a buyer and a seller, right? Or what have you. But it just so happened that the buyers were more aggressive in this area because the sellers exhausted. So it was a few sellers here, obviously, right? And the buyers were able to overwhelm and start to push this market up. That's exactly what happened. And so as the market goes up now, right? Again, this was all sell volume before because they were aggressively pushing the market down, but that is what became liquidity for the buyers to step in and put their buy orders to push the market up now. All of that aggressive selling and everything then became because again, the sellers exhausted, right? So they left the opportunity for the buyers to now step in and push this market up and take that sell liquidity that was sitting in these areas, right? And so what you're seeing happening now is the buyers are being the aggressor and are now changing the dynamic in this area, right? So right here, you have a lot of volume. You have a lot of volume. And in order for price to push through this volume to the upside, right, you're going to need a lot of aggressive buying to happen because there was aggressive selling. Now, notice this, right? In this area, we had a lot of aggressive selling pushing the market down. Like the volume is high, right? We had some pretty high volume, right? To push this market down, to continue to push this market down, right? And look at what happened. As the market went down, though, you started getting less and less volume. Now, this right here is indicative of the market moving up now. So you're getting more buyers coming in, and you're getting more interest, in the market. But at first, this was just blue. So you had average volume, but the volume started dwindling as the market continued to push down. So that means the sellers were starting to dry up, right? Down in this area, which caused the exhaustion at the end. And they just didn't have enough to push through and continue to push the market down. So again, it allowed for the buyers to come in and easily start to push the market up. Very, very, very important concept for us to understand so that we understand how price moves, why price moves, and why it's moving when it's moving, right? Again, this is all taking place on the 5 minute time frame. So again, we see that obviously we have a fair value gap here, right? Again, indicative of we see that this is starting to change a bit. There's more volume coming in this area right here, and this is buy volume that's coming in, right? But we see that again, it's a battle, right? Because we already have sellers that's sitting here. They overwhelm the market and push the market down at first, but now buyers are coming in and using that sell liquidity for the move up, right? Again, for the market to then push through. So for the market to push through where we got really, really aggressive, where the sell volume or the volume was even more, we need quite a bit of buy volume to begin to push through this aggressive selling that happened right here. So these could be points of reversal because we have a lot of volume here. We see the volume now, it's not average volume anymore, right? Now in this area, we're starting to get high volume, right? So now we have to look for possible reversals to the downside because we got high volume. Now, it doesn't mean that that's necessarily what's going to happen because if I have a lot of demand, right? If I have some huge buy orders, this is a great place to put some buy orders to push the market up, right? But then what we run into, right? And here's what happens. Like here's the beauty of what I'm starting to understand about this whole trading thing. See here, right, is where you have majority of your volume on this particular time frame, right? On the 5 minute time frame. And I'm using this as an illustration. This is where you have majority of your volume, right? So we have our transactions happening here, lots of transactions happening here, buy sell volume, right? Perfect place, the absolute, because we have obviously more buy volume, right? We have a lot of volume, but we have more buy volume, right, in this area than we have sell volume. This is a great place, right? Because of the amount of buy volume and interest we have here, this is a great place to sell, right? So where there's a lot of buying interest, I want to sell, right? Again, if I have big, big sell orders, this is the best place for me to put those sell orders. And what happens is, see, again, we don't need the sellers, right? If I want to sell right here, I have a whole lot of buyers, right? Right? I don't need to be aggressive right here. I just need to place my little sell. I need to place my sell orders here, but I don't need to be aggressive just yet. See, aggressive buying and selling is what moves the market up and down, right? So I don't need to be aggressive. I just need to sell. I have a lot of buyers right here. So if I want to sell, I'm going to sell right here, right? And then what happens is, this is what I really need you to understand, is that again, once I even right here, right, we still putting some sell orders and stuff, right? Because the buyers are we have a lot of buyers here. We have a lot of buy liquidity. It's a lot of buy liquidity. So where there's a lot of buy liquidity, I want to put my sell orders, right? So then what happens is what you start to see is now I get aggressive, right? Because I don't have to, again, if I get too aggressive up in here, right? That's going to activate the buyers, right? The buyers, because I want to push the market down. I want my sell orders, to have value. So I'm going to sneak my sell orders in right here where there's a lot of buying, right? And then, wait, for the buyers to, wait for an opportunity to get aggressive in my selling. And that's what happens here. So when price starts to move away from the point of control or the point of interest, right? This high volume area, that's when it makes sense to get aggressive to push the market, right? Same thing happens when I want to do buys, right? If this was a high area, high volume area, and overwhelmingly we had sell sentiment, then I'm going to put my buy orders here and then eventually, right, aggressively push the market in my direction, right? Doesn't require a whole lot of buy orders, a whole lot of buying to push the market, but I can be more aggressive, than the sellers, right? So anyway, so what happened here is, we placed those sell orders and then aggressively started pushing the market down, right? We started pushing the market down aggressively, right? And that's what happens with Bitcoin. Again, understanding how the currency or the financial instrument that you're trading, understanding how it works. Most of the time, for Bitcoin and the sentiment is either people want to buy it or they want to sell it. That's typically how that goes. People either want to aggressively buy Bitcoin or they want to aggressively sell it. That's how it goes. So what happens is once Bitcoin reaches a certain area low point, the aggressive sellers just step in, and start selling that market. But for those that were smart enough, right, to place those orders in this area, right, those sell orders in this area right here where there was a lot of buying, see, they're the ones that's making the most money. That's your banks, your hedge funds, your institutions and stuff. See, they were smart enough to sell right here where there was a lot of buying. I think you're starting to get the concept now, right? But I don't need to, I can jump in right here, but again, I'd rather be in right here, right, where I can hide a little bit, but make a whole lot more money, right? It's okay when we have aggressive selling to jump in here somewhere. We don't know at what point though is that selling going to dry up a bit, or what have you. So when you have selling, and you have it on average volume, that's cool. That's great to see. That's great to watch, right? Now we see that we have high volume, not the highest, but we have high volume. That just means again, they were selling in high volume, So obviously, and again, we know that some buying goes into the overall volume, right? So there was a lot of interest in this area in volume, right, from both buyers and sellers. But again, aggressively, because I want to aggressively push the market down, the sellers were more aggressive, right? Which probably what caused the high volume in these areas because you had both buyers and sellers that were aggressive. And the sellers just obviously overwhelmed the buyers and was able to push the market up until here. Like again, the sellers got exhausted and the buyers were able to step in now and then start to push the market up. And that's what you're starting to see. But as we start to get in this high volume area, though, where the sellers were really, really aggressive, right? We see that there's a bit of a battle, that starts to go back and forth, right? So again, in order for this market to continue up right now, you need a lot of buy volume in order to push this market up. Or what have you. So we got it right here. We had the aggressive buying right here. It's going to take continued aggressive buying to continue to push this market up, right? So you can watch and see how that works. Now, another thing that you can do. So right now, this heat map right here that I have on, it's showing you the volume sentiment. Another thing that you can do though, if you just want to focus on the liquidity and know where the liquidity is, because remember this, if you want to, it's smarter to buy where there's a lot of selling, right? A lot of sell liquidity. And it's better to sell where there's a lot of buy liquidity. But then also, let me do this point before I get to this real quick, right? The best places to place orders are going to be areas of low liquidity, right? So if I want to buy low, we go back to that concept, old concept, right? If I want to buy low, then there has to be low liquidity, right? It has to be at a place where sellers are exhausted. So before you buy low, right, when the market is going down, right, before you buy low, make sure that the sellers have exhausted and there's some sell liquidity there, but it's low, right? The volume is low because you don't want the sellers to come in and step in and push that market down. That can happen again. So the areas to place orders are going to be your low volume areas, right, where price has exhausted. So if I'm looking to buy, I'm looking for an area of exhaustion where sellers have exhausted. Great place to buy right there. Now, if I want to sell, right, you see how buyers push the market up, right? A lot some buy sentiment, but look at the volume, right? So that was exhaustion. Again, remember that term, exhaustion. So this makes this area right here a great place to sell because I have buyers exhaustion. The buyers exhausted. Now look what happened though. When they pushed the market down from here, right? They didn't need to overwhelm the buyers because the buyers were exhausted. So you see, even still, right? Even though the market pushed down, the sellers didn't have to be aggressive in their selling to push the market down. All they had to do was push the market down because the buyers were just so exhausted in this area here that it didn't take a lot of effort, right? Didn't take a lot of effort for the sellers to push the market down. So again, if I want to sell, I want to sell at a place of exhaustion, right? So we got buyers, right? Don't be fooled by, this right here. Again, that's just sentiment, but look at the volume. We have very low volume, which means the buyer's exhausted in this area. So if you want to sell at places of low volume and exhaustion, right? Because even if this was red, right? If this indicated that we had more sellers there, that's great because we know that we had buy exhaustion. So I'm good with that. We're at the top of the pyramid and the buyers aren't looking to push this up. Because again, if I had average volume right here at this top, then I'd be cautious and not want to sell right here because I have average volume, but volume is picking up or something like that. But if I have exhaustion, right, when you start to see exhaustion, right, the volume slowing down, then that's a good place, a good indicator that the price is ready to reverse at that point. Now, the other great spot, right, to trade obviously are going to be your high volume areas, right? So if I have a lot of buying right here, right, then again, great place to place my sell order. I'm not telling you that this is going to work 100% of the time. Again, you have to know your instrument, and it's about timing as well, and about the higher time frame, right? Make sure you're in keeping with the higher time frame bias overall, right? So this is just the 5 minute on Bitcoin. Bitcoin gets a lot of movement, so I just wanted to illustrate that point. And you see what we got going on right here. We got a lot of back and forth going on right here. But the buyers are starting to change the narrative a bit. And we see right here, we have sellers starting to jump in, right? So a lot going on, a lot going on. But I think you're starting to understand how this works, right? So remember, your areas. So these are your areas where again, are prime areas for us to place orders. Now, to buy and sell, right? So another thing I wanted to point out as well is, so although this is a high volume area, and this is where those that put their sell orders here are making the most money, right? This area right here, this area where it says the highest sentiment, this is where the sellers got really, really aggressive. So another great place to sell because sellers are aggressive. We know that the Bitcoin on the 5 minute right now is a sell, right? So where I have the most sentiment becomes okay. It becomes okay because the sellers are aggressive. The sellers have become really aggressive in this area. And, it's not the area with the most, right? But it's the area where I can start being really aggressive in place. So these are areas as well, areas where we can spot the beginning of the aggression or close to the beginning of the aggression are areas that we can look to trade in as well. So we know that this area right here, because this is the highest sentiment zone, right? That's okay. And we got some volume. We got some volume there. It's a little bit more than average volume. Not quite high volume just yet, but a little bit more than average volume. Now, when you have both, when you have the highest sentiment zone and the highest volume zone there, then it's going in that direction. Whatever direction that's saying for the most part, that's where that's pretty much going, or what have you, right? Just sheer volume is going to push it. Again, you want to see what's happening around that particular area, or what have you, right? So again, we see this aggressive area. We have aggressive sellers right here. Again, like I was saying, it's going to take a whole lot of aggressive buying to overcome this amount of volume. See, it's not average volume anymore where the buyers can come in and step in. But like I said, that buy liquidity though that was used to bring the market up now becomes liquidity to bring the market back down, right? Again, that's just how the market works. All right, so the other thing I was going to show you about this indicator, right? You can switch this indicator from volume heat map to the sentiment if you want to see where the liquidity is, and that's what this means. Or, not necessarily where the liquidity, but what the liquidity that you're possibly looking for. So we're going to change the heat map from volume to sentiment. And I'm going to show you what this means right here. Okay. So we change it from volume to sentiment. So what this means right here, right, is that you have buy liquidity sitting here, right? When this is what we were talking about. Great place to well, we have buy liquidity, so the buyers came in and pushed the market up, right? So this is going to be good liquidity coming back down for selling. If we want to push the market, if we want to push through here, we can take that buy liquidity now that's sitting there if it stays a little high, or what have you, right? To push through this area. But this heat map now is now showing you the sentiment or what the liquidity looks like. So you see all these areas in red. So this is all sell liquidity. This is all sell liquidity, right? At our high volume area, we have more buy liquidity, which is why the market went down. So these are your areas where you want to sell and you have your areas where you can buy, or understanding the aggressiveness. This can be liquidity for aggressive buying later. But you have to, be careful, in timing, right? But again, just wanted to illustrate to you how you can just look and see where the liquidity is, a better visual. I mean, it's right here. You can look at it right here, but if you wanted it to see it over here, you could just switch it that way. Me personally, I just prefer to keep the volume. I need to know where the highest amount of volume is. I can see the sentiment. And again, you can see them both. You can see them both, over here. The heat map just displays either this side, showing you the high volume areas, or when we look at the sentiment on the heat map, we're just seeing where the sentiment is, or the liquidity, the type of liquidity that's sitting there, right? That's all that means, or what have you. Okay, so looking at how prices moving here, let's go to the 1 hour chart real quick to get perspective, to get other perspective, right? So this is the 1 hour chart, Bitcoin, right? Movement for the day, right? Bitcoin for the day, right? So we see that right here we have buyers, right? So this is the 1 hour chart. I want you to see this because again, you have to understand how this works. So what that means is we had aggressive buying, right? A lot of it, a lot of aggressive buying. And when it comes to Bitcoin, right, this is a lot. Average volume. So there was aggressive buying that came in to push the market up here. Now we see that here we have not necessarily aggressive buying or selling, right? See, it's aggressive right here. It's not aggressive right here, but we have the volume, right? So that volume is indicative of sellers putting their orders in, and of course, at some point, they push the market down. But we see now that we have more aggressive buyers. So in order for the market to continue to push to the downside, we need a lot more aggressive selling, which obviously we did not get, or what have you. It hasn't turned aggressive yet, right? So we see the market came down just a little bit, right? And it turned right back around because low volume, right? Remember, low volume is where we get reversals. We're more than likely to get reversals. We didn't even come down here to this liquidity area right here, right? Because it just wasn't enough volume, right? It wasn't enough sell volume. Sellers exhausted already, to come down to this area. Again, that's what you were seeing on the 5 minute. So look at that area right there. So this little area right here on the 5 minute, on the 1 hour, is that same little area that we saw that sellers exhausted on the 5 minute. And again, you saw that buyer stepped in at that low area, right, and pushed the market up, right? I just wanted to show it to you on a higher time frame so you can see what's driving that on the lower time frame. Because really, what we have here is we have buyers already sitting here, right, on low volume. So that's going to push the market up. We have buyers on low volume, which means the sellers are exhausted. We don't have a lot of sell activity right here, or what have you, right? So just not enough selling to push the market further down on the 1 hour. So you get all of your play on the 5 minute. See, that's where your different time frames come into play. And again, the instrument that you're trading, right? Understanding how it moves, right? So again, right here, what we saw was that exhaustion. Remember, I was showing you, right? This is that area that price ran into on the 1 hour where it just didn't, it couldn't go past. And you see buyers stepped in. Well, again, because on the higher time frame, that's what's there. There's a lot of buy orders already sitting there. So for today, and again, this is just indicative of historical. So historically, right, this didn't happen today, right? This buy aggressiveness didn't just happen today. That already happened. So historically, we have a lot of buyers already sitting here, right? So it's no wonder they come in today because the 5 minute is pretty much getting us close to the activity and action for today. So yeah, they came in today, stepped in to protect that little area, right? Because we already got buy orders sitting there, right? So boom, all they did was come in and push it up, push it back up, right? Just step right in, step right up, and push it up. Because again, we got the sell orders because they were aggressively, there was some aggressive selling going on right here. We had some aggressive selling. And the buyer was like, no, 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 we're here, and it woke them up. And they try to push it back down. No, 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 we're here, because that's what's going on in the higher time frame, right? Don't get it twisted. Buyers are in the market, right? But again, the 5 minute is just getting us closer to the action, closer to today's action. But we see what's driving overall, right? When you look at breakouts and stuff, you want to see the chances of a breakout happening is dependent on what's happening on the higher time frame, right? All right, I think that is everything for today. I didn't want to make it too long, but as we start to frame our trading for next week, I wanted to make sure to share this information with you so that you could begin to understand even better how all of this works. Or what have I know it can be it can seem a little complicated, not necessarily as complicated as it may seem. My advice would be to know where you're looking to get in, where are your areas of interest. Now, all you have to do, if you know your areas of interest, I just gave you the way to interpret those areas of interest. Well, all right, I'm looking to put a sell order in right here, right? So again, we look to see, what is the probability of, my sell order going my way once, price gets into this 1 hour order block, right? Am I coming from a place of aggressiveness, a place of, volume? What is it? What's going on here? To tell me what my best chances are of my sell order going my way. If not, if you can't determine that, then don't put anything in. Don't make it a guessing game, right? You should be able to determine that because now, like, it's easier to determine that. I know that if I have exhaustion here, that there's a very good chance that I'm going to get a reversal, right? If I have exhaustion in this area, right? But if I have average volume, then I may want to wait and see if price breaks out of this level right here, or what have you, and then wait till I have exhaustion and get in on, that move possibly, right? That's a little lower risk trade than, trying to figure out maybe, what's going on here, right? Because there's a lot of sell liquidity. But then again, understanding the instrument too, Bitcoin is different from the Forex pairs. So you got to trade it differently as well. Again, just illustrating and showing you just based off of, the movement that Bitcoin has right now, or what have you, to illustrate what I was seeing. So real quick, let's take a look at some of our other pairs. So let's take a look at UJ real quick for the setup. Okay, so we see, all right, we see here we have this is the 5 minute chart. So we know that here we have high volume. So this is a high volume area here. So again, knowing UJ, a little bit different than Bitcoin or what have you. We see that we have sentiment right here, or what have you. So right here would be a good place to place my sell orders on UJ, right? But then let's look at the higher time frame to see what the higher time frame is saying here as well. And we see here we had exhaustion. So buyers were exhausted. We can see they kind of fell off. Yeah. So buyers ended up being exhausted as area. We see we have low liquidity, or what have you. So a good place to sell. A good place to sell, right? We see right here though, we have then this is the lower time frame, right? This is the 5 minute. So we did have that aggressive buying, which died out at some point. So again, just looking at the higher time frame to get our direction, but we see that, we did have aggressive buying and then eventually the buyers exhausted, which gave us the reversal here. The buyers exhausted, or what have you. So we can see what happens when price comes back into this fair value gap or something, or if price can mitigate. So in order for price to mitigate this aggressive buy area, we need quite a bit more sales, aggressive selling to come in to push this down, right? To continue to push this down. But we know once we get here, though, all bets are off. This is an area of high liquidity, obviously, and a great place to buy because we have a bunch of sell liquidity that's sitting here, and I can just put my buy orders right here to push the market up. See, that's just how that works, right? High liquidity, low liquidity, high volume, low volume, right? That's how we do it, right? All right, let's look at another one real quick. we're gonna look at let's look at EJ real quick. Okay, get that picture right there. Pretty much the same thing. We ran into some exhaustion, so the sellers were able to come in, push this market down, but we see that we still have those aggressive buy orders that's sitting right there, indicative of the market being pushed up from this area right here where we had a lot of sell orders. And so we aggressively started. Well, we didn't get real aggressive until we got right here. This is where the buyers got really aggressive. There was a lot going on right here. Let's look at this is the hourly. Yep. So we got real aggressive. We got real aggressive right here and was able to aggressively push this market up quite a bit. Then we ran into some stuff. So we were able to still push the market up on low volume, but we noticed that we start getting some low volume. Then we got some high volume, average volume right here, which is what price is running into. Bit confusing to me, so I would go down to 5 minutes to see if I can get a bit better picture what's going on here. I can already see what's going on. Good Lord. Yeah, so definitely a tight range here, tight range. So we're going from low volume, right? And we know that the market can push up. This is just indicative of aggressiveness, right? But this becomes this buy sentiment right here becomes easy liquidity for a down move. Oh my gosh, that is such easy liquidity for a down move. But you see, we got this range right here because price is bouncing between two high volume areas. So you see price just bounce between these high volume areas. You got aggressive, so you got buys and you have sellers, in these areas. It's just going in between, right? I'm not sure exactly which way we want to go with it right now, right? So just something to pay attention to and watch with EJ, is that right now there's some tug of war going on between buyers and sellers, especially on the lower time frame. Like this is interesting to see this tight range right here. So we don't know exactly who's going to win out necessarily, because again, we're going from low volume areas. So we're stuck in between this area right here. So it'd be interesting to see. So I can see that we have buy sentiment here, but not right here. So until we start to see buyers pick up a little bit more, you can be bearish on it, or what have you. But EJ right now is a bit confusing, in my opinion. So we could come back down to, again, low volume areas. Not a lot going on. So you want to start to see though where volume starts to pick up outside of these low volume areas. Are we going to pick up here? We're going to pick up down here. Then we can start to frame kind of a sentiment or what have you. And I think looking at the daily though, we can see that we have a high volume area. This is a very high volume area sitting right here. So what that could be, we could get some consolidation, some additional consolidation to kind of see if this market is going to flip. I wonder if this is going to be a flip market or something. How far are we going to go up? We have some potential as far as placing some buy orders and then pushing away, but you have to start seeing some aggression at some point, right? So we can place buy orders, all along this area right here, if the market is going to continue to move up, but move up aggressively, or what have you. So that'll be interesting to see in EJ, where we go from here. So this whole area right here is going to be interesting. I would look at this to be a place of consolidation before I start to see which way we're going to move. So for us to move out here, we got to start seeing aggressive selling happen below this point right here. So we got buying right here. We got some buying sitting right here. So that's why the market continued to push up, because of the sentiment on average volume, which typically is what we're going to get. But then we see here we have increased volume with sell sentiment. Same thing here, same thing here. So remember, lots of volume, good places to place buy orders, interestingly enough. But we'll see. We'll see what happens once price starts to give us a little bit more information right now. So, okay. All right. Let me see what we got going on with EU. EU on the daily. Yep, we ran into buyer's exhaustion. So we're looking at so we had some aggressive buying, and then it just exhausted. That's on the daily. Let's take a look at the hourly real quick. See what we're looking at right here. Yep, we had some really aggressive buying, so that pushed the market up. Again, different instruments, act differently. So we see with EU, very, very liquid pair. So there's a lot of historical liquidity that sits in these areas. So framing based off of how we're doing our analysis with liquidity and volume and stuff can be a little bit different, but we do see that in this area right here, we had some buyers exhaustion. So the buyers did exhaust here. So that was a good point of reversal for the time being and come back into this area right here. Again, you had a lot of aggressive buying at one point, but that's starting to change possibly. So we're not sure exactly what it's going to do. But for right now, we're still bullish because the market moved away from this high volume area. But then we got to a low volume area, what have you. We got some average volume. So while the market was able to push up, ran into low volume. So it's kind of in a consolidation mode right there. Let me see what it looks like on the 5-minute to get a little closer to the action. Yep. And we can see here, same thing, quite a bit of consolidation for a while, what have you. So we there's no clear direction here, so we can say there was some aggressiveness there. Again, price, exhausted up in this area. So the sellers came in and started aggressively pushing the market down. Then we started getting some buying, or what have you. So yeah, interesting. We start to get into this back and forth, or what have you, pushing the market in between these high volume areas is what's kind of going on right now. You got that consolidation right there. So be interesting to see what the market does as it breaks out one way or another. So we know we got some buy liquidity sitting here, runs into this area right here, but yeah, nothing really, no really real determining factors or anything one way or another. So need more data. We need to see what's going on. Only thing that we really know for right now is that in this area right here, there's not a lot of volume, not a lot of interest, so it's not looking to push through just yet. And then even right here, we see that sellers exhausted down here, right? So we're stuck in between right now. See, buyers exhausted, reverse. Sellers exhausted, reverse. That's how that works. All right, majority of the time. And we see we got this fair value gap. Buyers got really aggressive, right? They pushed the market up and then got real aggressive as we got into this area right here. And didn't need much more volume to continue to push the market up. Obviously, they pushed the market up on very low volume, right? So it didn't take a whole bunch of effort to push this market up, or what have you. So again, just things to kind of consider as we understand how all of this stuff works. All right. Okay, that is all I have for you. I think I've ran my mouth enough. Hopefully, again, this is something that you can follow to help you to understand market movement a lot better. So good luck, happy trading. Let's get to that bag.